1.9 billion naira on Lassa fever, 706 million naira as legal fees, and 1.121 billion naira on public communication. These monies were spent either between February and May 2020 during the COVID-19 lockdown, or since Godswill Akpabio assumed the supervision of the Commission as Minister of Niger Delta Affairs. Some say, however, that Godswill Akpabio only exposed a rot which was becoming a culture in the Commission. Reports of the sleaze in the NDDC forced a conscience-stricken National Assembly to begin approval of the Commission. A day before Nunia was to testify at the National Assembly, an attempt to detain Joy Nunia was only foiled by the Rivers State Governor, Yeson Wike.
What kind of society are we in? Can't you invite that in police? Now you come and all of you come. You want to get that? Yes.
At the House of Representatives probe, it came to light that beyond the financial bazaar by the management of the NDDC, the Commission was also carrying the burden of being forced into a money machine by the very legislators who were probing the NDDC. Godswill Akpabio, a former governor of Akwa Ibom State and former senator, hit back with bare knuckles.
Who are even the greatest beneficiaries? It's two people now. Also, if you look at your chairman, your honorable minister, that's okay. What is the benefit that the National Assembly is benefiting from? Are you asking me the benefit of National Assembly?
Yes, you just said.
I just told you that we have record to show that most of the contracts in NDDC are given out to members of National Assembly, but no, you don't know about it.
Honorable Minister, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Minister, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Please, off your mind. It's okay.
Flowing from Akpabio's accusations, Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila gave the minister 48 hours to produce the names of those legislators who have been getting contracts from the Commission. It is on record that the management of the NDBC had also accused the legislators of getting 132 project contracts worth over 6.4 billion naira, which they have not executed.
It is criminal to get a job and don't execute it. It is criminal to fraudulently inside a job that doesn't exist. It is criminal to get money for no work done. It is criminal to do inside training. Conflict of interest is in the world. If you receive such, simply document all and pass it to EFCC or ICBC.
On the surface, these revelations of monumental corruption, even in strategic agencies of government, could be identifiable evidence of the failure of the Buhari government to deliver on its promise of running corruption out of the nation's public affairs. That may be true.
But let them tell us, this one was arrested. Wonderful. It made news, headlines and everything. What has happened to all of them? Mind you, I mentioned Waziri Lamobe and Ribadu. Where they? So this one too, look, we know.
However, the more beneficial truth is that as the extent and depth of the grand corruption unravels, as members of the executive, the legislature, and even officials of the government institutions are being exposed as the architects of Nigeria's corruption misfortune, Nigerians whose nation's development is being compromised by these acts of corruption are asking questions and demanding strong and impartial action from the Buhari administration against those involved in these national shame.
Well, thanks for staying with us on AIT. Southern Kaduna has, in the past 4 years, been turned into a killing field. Nigerians have almost stopped weeping for the people.
and now only count the numbers. What really is going on in Southern California? Have the people been abandoned? Or has the government, both at the federal and state levels, lost the desire and capacity to protect lives and property in that part of the country, that part of the state? Now, I spoke with Honorable Jonathan Asake, President Southern California People's Union. That is our conversation for this Sunday. Please stay with us. SignatureTV.org. Breaking the news, following the news, analyzing the news, 247 round the clock, all on the go. SignatureTV.org. News in your pocket. This Sunday, we'll address the developments happening in Southern California. And I have with me this afternoon Honorable Jonathan Asake. Honorable Asake is the President, Southern California People's Union. Honorable Asake, you're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much.
What is the story of the killings in Southern California?
Just to go back to memory lane. The first crisis we had was around 1981 in Kajuru local government, present Kajuru local government. It was then Kajuru local government. And we called that place Kaswamagan. And it was as a result of disputes on land ownership between the indigents of the place, the Adara people, and the Hausa Fulani community of that place. And so that resulted into a clash. It was during the Shagari issue.
Now, just wait a minute. This indigents,
Yes.
and the Hausa Fulani herders, are those Hausa Fulani herders not part of this Southern Kaduna People's Union?
No, they call them herders there. We have the Fulani community.
Are they part of this union?
Yes.
They are.
Those that subscribe to the union are
Okay.
part of the union.
Okay.
Yes, because our union is multi-ethnic, multi-religious, and multicultural. So it is not about a particular religion, it is not about a particular ethnicity, it is not about a particular culture, and it's not even about a political party. It is all inclusive. And so you have Christians, Muslims, traditional worshippers in the union. So those people in that community, yes, though they are part of the union.
Okay, just why I asked the question
Yes.
was when the crisis developed between the indigenous people and the Hausa Fulani herders. Are these Hausa Fulani herders not indigenous to that place?
Of course, you know that most of the settlements we have all over the country have their own history. There are people that would have migrated over time due to commercial activities and settled. Yes.
Some people do not own land.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Kandwa.
So that is what we
In
have.
1981.
1981. Then one other major, we've had some series of crises as a result of maybe chieftaincy, title, tussle between the same two communities. That is the indigenous communities and the Hausa Fulani community. You know, in Yad Kaswa, a place called Yad Kaswa, in the then Saminaka local government, which is now Lere local government. Then we also had in 1987 in the College of Education, where a preacher was preaching, and he was a former Muslim, and he quoted from the Quran, and the Muslim students society there rejected that. Being a non-Muslim, he could not possibly quote from the Quran, but he was quoting to drive home a point, and that culminated into a crisis that escalated beyond Kafanchan Township into Kaduna and even beyond, into Zaria and other major towns in Kaduna State.
You can call that a kind of religious
It was a kind
intolerance.
of a religious agreement. These are crisis violence that we have had that are different from what we are experiencing today. What we are experiencing today, started from around 2013 and up to date, where we have what we call killer herdsmen. They are kind of a militia of a group of people that go by night when people are sleeping, and they go on to invade communities and kill and maim and burn, destroy everything that is alive. And so since 2013, Southern Kaduna has not known peace. But these killings have stepped up, and they are now on a regular basis from 2015 up to date. In fact, as I'm sitting here, Gora Gan in Zamboka local government is still under attack. I was just, when I was on my way to this place, I was told, but still, the Zamboka local government is under attack. The day before yesterday, Kora local government, a group of young people between the ages of 7 to 21 were dancing in a compound because one of their heirs had just gotten married. So they were just dancing. This government went in and gone down as many as they could. They gone down over 40. And today we have up to about 30 in the hospital. In fact, 22 critically injured between life and death. And of course, 18 or 19 died. This has been widely reported. Now, these are the stories every time of these invasions. But the most pathetic thing about this is this: that the narratives that we hear that it is a farmers and a herders clash. We have had, I can go on and name these invasions, these killings, these massacres that have taken a genocidal proportion. And we keep hearing you in the media telling us that it is a farmers and herders clash. Now, the farmers and herders clash that we knew before is when the herder has his cattle and he goes and
Destroy the crops of the farm.
And the farmer is there and he objects to it and he protests, and then the fight ensues. And oftentimes, when they fight, they take it to the local chiefs and they settle that dispute. But this one that we call farmers herders clash is actually being economical because those people that go to kill, sometimes they go by 1 a.m. when everybody is sleeping, and they kill children, they kill women, pregnant women, they kill old people, and they kill animals, they destroy everything, they destroy farmlands, they destroy the food stores, and they leave people just like that, and they displace the people. And oftentimes when they displace the people, they take over the community.
Okay, now I'm interested in that. What do you mean by taking over the community? Do they now build their houses and settle there and begin to have an economic or something?
A lot of times they chase the indigenous people out into camps, into nearby communities, and then they come and take over physically. Sometimes they use the same buildings of those people they chase.
What do they do? Do they become herders? They become farmers? What do they do?
In fact, they will now bring in cattle, a lot of cattle, while they are herders, and they also go into farming. That is, they occupy the community.
Let me use one word. Do you think that this is land grabbing?
In fact, that is what I was about to say. That what we see that is playing out in communities across the southern part of the state, which we also know that is taking place all over the Middle Belt area, because Plateau State is just bordering us, and that it is actually about land occupation. Now, while the invaders invade communities and take over those communities and chase the people out. There has been no effort by the authorities.
No, Honorable Jonathan, I do not want us to start blaming yet. I'm coming to that. If we know communities that have been so displaced, if we know communities where these invaders have taken over, it means the invaders are recognizable. They are. Okay. Have your people, has your organization made a formal complaint to the police, to local government authority, to say this community has been chased away and the occupants now are not the owners of the homes because they are identifiable?
In fact, several, the Southern Kaduna People's Union, the various community development associations representing the communities that have been so invaded and chased and displaced have made submissions at various levels, even to the international community. So Kabul has gone even to the international community to make presentations before the United Nations. And up till now, because what we see is that there have been cover-ups on the atrocities that are going on. And so that is what we have.
The responsibility of government is to secure lives and property of the individual. It's not likely, I'm just saying, that if your union has made a complaint to the police and the police did not act, that should also have failed to make a complaint to the Kaduna State government. Have you done that?
No, it is not the police. The police always act when something has happened. They go there. But to the government, of course, several before I came. But my predecessor, on the day of handing over, he lamented, and it was widely reported in this day and other media organizations, that they had sought to meet with the government, and he outright said he was not interested in meeting the union. In fact, he referred to the Southern Kaduna People's Union as a group of bigots. And it has been viral all over because Channel Television reported that. And so we know his position about the people of South Africa, that he sees us as people that do not deserve attention, that do not deserve to be given the resources that are coming from the federal government. And so when these invasions are coming back, and I can count, like I told you, the invasion that took place in Chukun local government, there have been several invasions in the next local government bordering in Chukun local government. That is Ketu local government. If you remember the paramount ruler that was kidnapped, when huge ransoms were paid, and he was killed after paying ransom, up to date, that ruler, 2 years gone by, with the people pleading, we need a leader. No new chief has been appointed. But instead, what those people have done is that the government has created an emirate in a community, a local government, because that chiefdom consists of an ethnic nationality that spans 2 local governments, Kachia local government and Ketu local government. And within that, an emirate is an Islamic traditional enclave. So if you are not a Muslim, you cannot have any land entitlement or any other claims to that form.
Now let me ask you a question, if you don't mind. Does this emirate or this emir superintending over this emirate have authority therefore over the land?
That is what I'm trying to say. Now the emir has been appointed. No chief or the native has been appointed 2 years after the killing of the chief. But an emir has been appointed. And so the issue of land now becomes, that is again where we see that government, while the invaders are using force to take over land, government is using government policy to take over, grab land. And what is the intent? We have seen it all come. It is to change demographics. It is to change demographics, period. And so, ditto for other communities.